محمد خاتم الأنبياء وإمام المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. We understand that our time of fasting and our time of prayer and the time when we do all of our worship, the time when we even beyond worship and caring for our loved ones, this is a time that can be considered sacred. For Muslims, when we we spend time with ourselves or with our family members, when we go out, all of these aspects of time and place are sacred. They're not disconnected. They're not sort of just to fit how we'd like for our sunrise or our sunset to work. And if we look and we think about the way ancients, people of the past, understood their time, it was very much connected to the lunar calendar. And I wanted to talk about the lunar calendar in the context of signs that really emanate from the lunar calendar. The Muslim calendar, the Hijra calendar, is based on the moon, and the signs, the power that emanate from them are beyond, I think, the way we conceptualize time today. And as we're in this month of Ramadan, of Sha'ban, looking forward to Ramadan, the prescient aspect of the moon becomes more felt and more real. And the previous month, Sha'ban, is a prelude to this month. So Rajab is a prelude to Sha'ban, and Sha'ban is a prelude to Ramadan, which in the context of time and movement and the sacrality of time is the layers and the tiers or the daraj, the levels in which you have a different opportunity, a different experience to get proximity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and proximity to his beloved, the chosen one, our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So there are 4 months in the Muslim calendar that are considered sacred, 4 out of the 12. And in these 12-month calendar, we understand that the calendar is not just a matter of convenience, but a matter of sacredness. And this is what allows us to step away from the dunya. 5 times a day, at least, we make intentions, we step away from the dunya and from the ways and the means over which we live our physical and emotional lives and in mental, intellectual lives, in order to intertwine all of them in our prayer. And and that is what happens across time and place. And so when we think about the immensities of the moon in relation to this specifically, it's not just a matter of the gravitational pull, the extent to which the full moon exercises certain forces, and provides us definitely with a way to perhaps ritualize our health and physical health and well-being, which is beautiful, and just matchless. But what supersedes that, of course, is how the movement of the moon, the strength and the pull of the moon in relation to us, can enhance our going up the ladder in terms of spiritual awareness, alertness, mental and physical prowess, and resilience, inshallah. So the ancients understood that the moon had these powers. And by ancients, we mean folks of various creed and and cultures, and there were rituals that developed around them. Even the farmers of the past used to connect their crop planting and grazing of their livestock, and even sustainability practices were in relation to the moon's movement throughout the world. There is a number of texts we can find in English recently written that discusses the way that we should eat and cook in regards to the moon. Um, the when we, again, looking at the ancients, it's important to think about the leap year, and that the leap year was really used as a mechanism to, quote, fix, kind of rectify, or a certain issue that happened with the shift in the Julian calendar, and then the Gregorian calendar subsequently. And and so if we through contrast we can understand what we're working with. And if we look at the lunar calendar in contrast to the Gregorian calendar, we can understand and get a better sense of how the lunar calendar, um, it precludes a lot of the, perhaps, might we mildly say it, like the idiosyncrasies that emerge out of the shifting to a Gregorian calendar. And what do I mean by that? So the phases of the moon, they allow us, again, in a really kind of practical way. It lights up the night sky when there's more luminosity, through the waxing and the waning of the moon. But it also can strengthen our awareness of the movement of time. Okay, it's the middle of a month versus the last quarter of a month versus the first quarter of the month. Um, and in this uh, immense connection, potential connection, if we're paying attention to the movement of time, the bending of time, the continuity of time, the familiarity of time reoccurring, can, inshallah, allow us to, be upgraded, be rejuvenated. Um, and in Surah Rahman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, to us, very familiar for us, the ayah which is translated, "Which of the blessings of your Lord will you deny?" And the ayah preceding some of the ayat preceding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually mentions the moon in regards to the way that there's a combination, coming together of the moon in regards to other creation. And that, in understanding that combination and that coming together, we can, learn to submit, by submitting to, the movement of time. We're submitting to the creator of time, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Muslim life is determined by the movements of the moon. Um, we can't control those celestial bodies. We can't control the moon, no matter how many different gadgets that we might concoct and build up to, in allegiance to some attempts to control it, to have it more within orbit that makes sense to us. And and that's a certain type of humility and sincerity, um, that we should definitely abide by and tune into. The other aspect in terms of the lunar months and the beauty therein, again, in contrasting to the more common era calendar, is that the months themselves have been mentioned in the hadith. We know that the months have certain, um, um, importance. While Rajab for us, right, isn't considered one of the four sacred months, it is a month in which the Isra and Mi'raj happened. And when we think of the month of, I don't know, you know, September, um, we 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 don't. It doesn't have the same type of beauty or richness, in that it signifies certain things that happens in that month that we reference yearly, um, and that in some sort of way. There that doesn't exist. And once we get connected in a really, you know, sophisticated yet simplistic and intentional way to to our months, like in Rajab there's Isra wa Mi'raj, as I mentioned. There's also the birthday of Sayyidina Ali, karamallahu wajhu. There is a, a very profound scholar and teacher, Imam Chisti, was born in Rajab. Um, and so all of these are to be reminders for us in order for us to inshallah be uplifted and to climb into spiritual heights. We are in Rajab is a reminder, and to stick with Rajab, to of that the as one scholar put it, the fun months are sort of coming to a close, and the month of getting our lives together or getting ready for austerity, right, is happening. That our lives are going to get be turned upside down, inshallah, and that's what we want. That's what we need, and that is directly connected to this movement of time, specifically the moon, inshallah. Um, I want to just reiterate that the the movement, the passing of time, is really where we should find ourselves rejuvenated. We should, in contemplating these experiences that can happen, that should happen through recognizing where we are today versus in this year of Sha'ban, 1422 Hijra year account, Hijra year, Hijra years. There have been there's been a Sha'ban, and the Sha'ban that was just a year ago is very different from the Sha'ban that may have been experienced just 10 years ago. And and I think when we really reflect on that, we can definitely look forward, use that as inspiration to look forward to for more months of Sha'ban, for more months of Ramadan, and the various Mubarak months from the Hijra calendar. These are moments and bastions of hope for us, for love and serenity, of triumph as well as difficulty, for aspiration and struggle. Um, May we, inshallah, embrace these upcoming months of fasting, Ramadan. Inshallah, we make intentions to see the new moon, to see the crescent. Let's all make intentions to observe and contemplate and share of these patterns that we observe in relation to the heavenly sky, inshallah ta'ala. We hope that not only inciting the new moon, but that we actually go and recognize the moon phases between each new moon, between the full moon and the new moon, noticing the waning and the waxing, and then and encouraging our young people as well as our elders to to be rejuvenated through that contemplation, those contemplative moments and efforts, inshallah ta'ala. um, I will so we just mentioned that the one of the points about time is that we typically don't see it happening, and there's a component of it that's in the unseen, and that's a part of the wisdom. The wisdom is hidden from the wisdom of the beauty of time and recognizing it is that it's hidden from clear view. The wisdom is that that wisdom of it being hidden from clear view is that we have to seek it out. We have to be really intentional about finding the way time moves and the way in which our own selves move and go through these perhaps these valleys or oscillations of the heart. In the Arabic language, the word for heart, right, it comes from the verb to move between one state to another state. And we see that in the moon, the changing of the moon from the beginning of the month to the middle of the month, and in between those two, very distinctive moments, and then back again to 1 month ending, yet another month begins. When we have the opportunity to share with our neighbors and classmates and folks that we do our work with about Ramadan coming again, one of those things that I think probably really trips people up, and even us, is, wait, does Ramadan start tomorrow morning, or does it start tonight? And it's really fascinating to think about, is where a month starts and where a new month ends. Is it in the beginning of the day, or is it at the end of the day? And how they're kind of, right, they're sort of a part of the same hand, or they're part of the same coin, the same gold coin. On one side is the end of something, and on the other side it's the beginning of something else. And so there is contemplation on one side and reflection on what we've been through, what we've experienced, what we imagine to have been a part of, would have been a part of that month or that time. And then there's, on the other side, is something we should look forward to, hope and aspiration and desire, intentionality and sincerity. And we beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are a part of a kinship that is upward, that is reflective, self-reflective and introspective, and that and truly is connecting to our past and to our legacy and our heritage, wherever we are in the world, and that we use that to the way it's supposed to be used, the way it's we've been instructed to, inshallah.
I'm sorry, were you through, Brother Qaid?
Yes, I was just writing to you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm sorry. So thank you so much for that wonderful talk, mashallah. Sister Sophia said this talk was wonderful. Jazakallah khair. Thank you for highlighting these important points regarding the moon and this sacred time. We appreciate it, mashallah. It's always such a good reminder. And I know this will lead into Sister Samina's talk on time management. I believe that's still what you're speaking about, right, Sister Samina?
I'm speaking and no one can hear me. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I just wanted to quickly introduce Brother Qaid. He is Brother Qaid Hassan. Thank you so much for joining us. He is, let me give you a little bit of his background. I know this is his first time speaking with us. He is a student of Sheikh Mohammed Al-Yaqoubi of Syria and Morocco, from whom he has learned many modalities of Islam, spirituality, and practice. Brother Qaid received the famous Hadith of Mercy, Hadith al-Rahma, while with the shortest chain of transmission while in the Kaaba at Mecca. He attended Haverford College, where he studied early Christianity, Islamic legal reasoning, and Islamic literature. And then while a graduate student at the University of Chicago, he studied social theory and religion. Thank you, Brother Qaid, so much for joining us today, mashallah. I know it's your first time with us. Inshallah, you'll join us again. We love when our khatibs come back for repeat performances. So we really do appreciate it and hope that, inshallah, you will become an integral part of our community, inshallah.
Inshallah, it'll be my honor.
Inshallah. I mean, Sister Samina, I'll turn things over to you, inshallah.
Okay, just
Please stay with us at the end of her talk. I just have a few announcements.
sure. Thank you, Sister Nicole. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So I will share my screen. Give me a second here. Okay. Nope, that one. So I hope everybody can see my screen. So I'll start with by just saying, Rabbi Shari Sadri wa Yassir Amri wa Ahlul Uqdatan min Lisani Yafqahu Qawli. So what Brother Qaid was talking about, the time and how and the passing of time and different aspects of time, this actually is the perfect lead into what I want to talk about. So with Ramadan being upon us, this is the best topic that we can discuss, is how to manage our time. And not only in Ramadan, but outside of it too. So, and it's something, that we all need help with. So I'll go ahead and start. So I'm trying to see. Okay, yeah. So the question, this was a question that I presented to some of my friends and colleagues at work. Do you have time? Like, do you have time to reflect, to pray, to read Quran? And the answers were a range of everything from sometimes I do, or yeah, I try, or I just don't know where the day goes. And this is true for all of us because we're up to our necks with commitments and responsibilities and may not have a lot of free time each day. Right. So, however, I'm going to challenge myself and each one of you by asking, how exactly are you spending the little bit of free time that you do have? Right. So, and that's a question that a lot of us shy away from answering. So here we start with, what are those obvious time wasters, right? So let's talk about those first, because to fix a problem, we have to find out what that problem is and we have to address it. So the first thing is, okay, what are these time wasters? So like, is it social media? Are these apps that are, or is it texting, calling? Is it binge watching TV shows? Is it gossiping with friends and family? Is it oversleeping, procrastination, laziness, overthinking about trivial things and over planning, right? Or daydreaming, right? So like, which one are you a victim of? Which of these habits? Is it all of them? Is it one of them? I know for me, I can say procrastination. I'm definitely a victim of that, and I try really, really hard. And keep in mind that, even in the earlier times when the Prophet ﷺ was bringing his message, he did say that there were two blessings which many of people waste, and it's health and free time, right? And of course, here are some of the lists. These are no brainers, right? So no mystery here. But what if I go on a path to try to restructure my times, right? So what are those not so obvious ways that I go into, where I'm trying not to waste time by trying to manage time, right? So because I want to be more productive, but how can I do that? So the step one in trying to manage time is, forget that it's time management. It's not about time management, it's about self-management, right? Why? So, we get our calendars out and our highlighters, or we sit down with the most newest apps, and we try to say, okay, at 10 o'clock, I'm going to do this. At 9 o'clock, I'm going to do this. And what we forget to realize is time is an asset that literally cannot be managed, because management implies that there's some sort of control we have over something, right? That we can pause it, rewind it, increase it, decrease it. It's not money. It's not food. It's not, so, it's something that we have no control over. So, we must let go of this bizarre idea and focus on something that we can actually manage, which is our nafs, ourself. So in other words, it's all about self-management, or in other words, self-discipline. So it's not about time management. So how can we find our answers to our self-discipline problems under modern times, and modern ways of time management. And especially after we agreed that time cannot be managed, there are many really, really cool time management concepts out there, such as Eat the Frog or the Pomodoro technique, that we can use to help manage time, right? Or manage self, right? Although these concepts are not fully there to help us with our nafs related problems, such as procrastination or laziness. But if you're serious about using your time better, forget time management and start by building self-discipline or self-management. For example, so I'll give you an example of how, things like when you try to manage time but procrastinate on some goals, how it doesn't work. So there are times, the 80-20, like sometimes, let's say, and I'm using this in a different way, a lot of people say like do 20% of the work and get 80% of the results. But what if we are like, let's imagine a scenario where we are dieting, but we say we're going to lose weight, okay, but 80% of the time we're eating junk, and 20% of the time, so every day for 15 minutes we work out, but the whole day we're eating junk, right? Just overeating and things like that. Will you lose weight? Any fitness expert, any dietitian, any doctor will agree you won't, because you're not working on the action that brings 80 or 90% of the results, because your entire focus is on the action that brings less than 10% of the results, right? So let's apply the same concept to time management. Should I say self-management, right? So 80% of the time you're procrastinating or trying to manage time, but it's not working, and another day goes by. So what are the things we can focus on while trying to manage our time? Can we use apps and strategies and tips or tactics? And the worst thing is tactics don't really bring you 20% of the result. They may work some of the times, but they don't bring those results, right? So, so the best thing here is to what Imam Ghazali said. He said that if your intentions are true and your concerns are in order and his diligence is improved, then you will not gravitate to the base desires and will not be preoccupied with ideal thoughts related to the world. So the reality of the truth will shine in his heart. So like so what he's saying, if your intentions are where it's at, so if your intentions are true, like if you're saying, yeah, I'm going to truly manage my time, I'm going to, the best thing that I'm going to do is put things in order, prioritize things, right? What is the one goal that I need to do? So here we go into the next thing. So before I go into the next thing, the pro tip here. So time management, right? It's about self-management. So what is the pro tip? What can I do to put this into effect or use it daily? Get around people who are better at this than you. So the fastest way to discipline yourself is to spend time with people who are already disciplined, right? And imagine the amount of free motivation you can collect from the company of such disciplined people around you, right? So that's the pro tip there in self-management. So the next thing is prioritizing is not as easy as you think, right? So we get excited when we want to change our behavior. We tend to plan so many goals for ourselves. So as Muslims, we try to be like, I'm going to pray on time. I'm going to make sure I'm regular. I'm going to read Quran every day. I'm going to read all the Islamic books out there. I'm going to make dua for every second I'm fasting. I'm going to let go of all of my anger. So wow, that's a lot of goals for such a little, for someone who wasn't doing anything at all, right? Who wasn't managing even one goal. So this is where we have to say, hold your horses, step back, and try to do one goal, just one goal. And at this point, because we're closing in on Ramadan, and I would suggest, and I think the problem is that most of us don't know which goal to start with. So for this sake, for the scenarios here, I would say start, what, when your question is what is my number one goal, because Ramadan is here, the number one goal should be prayer on time, or being mindful in your prayer, or giving it the full attention that it deserves. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ said the first of his deeds for which a man will be called to account on the day of resurrection will be his prayers. So let's start there, right? That could be our number one goal. And it could be something small in that prayer. It doesn't have to be like, I'm going to make sure that I pray all the nafils, all the sunnahs, let's start with the first salahs and make sure those are in order, right? Let's start there. So that could be our number one goal. And pro tip there is, when we prioritize our time with Allah, which is the first salah, or everything else, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prioritizes everything in our life. So for us, and gives us daily clarity, right? And this could be our motivation to do everything we can to put this goal into focus and work on it with conscious belief that this one goal will align everything else in our life, inshallah. Okay, so then what is our third thing, right? Third way to brutally waste our time is perfectionism. So we say to ourselves, I'm not going to try to be perfect in everything that I do. So because it keeps us either stuck or it pushes us to burnout. So let's say that you have created the perfect routine to pray on time daily, right? You have the perfect wudu, the cleanest corner in your house or office, the scheduling of activities around the prayers. But one day something happens to throw you completely off your schedule and or your concentration in prayer. And what most of us do is we're like, I can't. We throw our hands up in the air, and because it's not perfect, then we say, okay, I don't know. Okay, I'll just pray later. Or like we just start to get off that goal of trying to be more mindful in our prayers. So at that point, that is the point where you say, okay, I'm not going to be perfect. I know my corner is dirty. I know I had the kids bothering me today, or way too many calls, or work goals that I did not meet. But it's okay. It's going to be okay. I'm still going to pray because this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered me to do. And inshallah, He will accept, right? So stop trying to be perfect. And so pro tip there, don't focus on perfection, focus on being mindful at the task at hand. Even if you started prayer a little later than you used to, just take a breather, close your eyes, say Bismillah and start. By this time, you're back on your goal and you feel better for, continuing on that path to restructuring and managing your time properly, right? And to sum it all up, okay, it's all about self-management. Do not set too many goals. Do not try to be perfect. Keep these 3 brutal mistakes that we all make in mind as you go into Ramadan. Try to set a schedule to work on yourself and being present and really benefiting from this great month. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala let us all witness this month and accept our du'as and forgive us and bless our children and the ummah with His mercy. So Ameen. And with that, I say Ramadan Mubarak to everyone. Inshallah, Allahumma balagna Ramadan. And turn it over to you, Sister Nicole. Jazakallah khair.
Ameen, mashallah. Thank you so much. That was beautiful, mashallah. Great reminders. You made me nervous though when you posted that first list, because I kept going, yep, check. So there was too many on the list that to my own personal life, and it made me very nervous. So thank you for the reminder. I will take all the tips, mashallah, all the tips. So thank you. That was wonderful. So a very important announcement, as we talked about last week, Mainline Muslim Society is planning to have drive-through iftars in Ramadan, but we need your help. So it's very important that we get this program and project funded. We have received enough funding to date for about half of one iftar evening. We'd like to feed about 100 people a night, so we are really in need. We're trying to do 2 nights a week. If we can only do 1 night a week, khair min wadu, it'll be better than nothing. So inshallah, please send this out to your friends and family. Give what you can, give generously. And we'd really love your support for this. Also, a little side note. So for those of you that don't know, Zakat al-Fitr this year is $10 per person. You can give to Mainline Muslim Society. You can also give that to Amana Foundation, has a Zakat fund. that you can donate to. So there are both, and we can put both links on the website and on our Facebook group. So please donate generously, give to the community. Both of these organizations, both Mainline Muslim Society and Amana Foundation, do good works locally. So if you want to keep your zakat local and your charity local, this is a good opportunity. And Sister Tahia, I know you had something you wanted to say.
Just a quick reminder, Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I am very pleased to share with everybody that we just signed a lease for a space for a Mainline Muslim Society, which will be a building that is in the backyard of St. Luke Church in Bryn Mawr. Some of you might have visited that space before last year in January when we tried to have it in person before the pandemic. So we're back to that space, and inshallah on Saturday we're getting in there to prepare and clean and decorate and do all that. And we hope you come and visit and pray with us, and we cannot wait to start doing this inshallah in person with restrictions still, but slowly building towards having a full room, inshallah.
Inshallah, inshallah. That's wonderful news. And that's where we'll be distributing our drive-through iftar meals, is at this location. And we'll have the ability, you can pick up your meals, take them home, or we've had an idea of doing a tailgate iftar. So since we can't all join together like we used to in the masjid, this modern Muslima came up with the idea of doing a tailgate party. So, you know, why not? Why wouldn't we have a tailgate iftar? So better that than nothing. I miss my community, I miss my people. So I really love the idea of at least being able to join together, inshallah, in whatever way we can, safely, but to share in that fellowship, to share in that community sense of Ramadan. Last Ramadan, though beautiful, was missing something for me personally. So I'm really looking forward to the fellowship again. So inshallah, support this program, support your local masjid, and join us whenever you can, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of you. May He keep all of us healthy from this Jummah into the next. May this Ramadan come in with beauty and stay with beauty. May all of your dua and fasting be accepted. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us all connected through our hearts and minds, inshallah. Make dua for each other, reach out to people that you haven't spoken to lately, check on one another, inshallah, ameen. Thank you, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Both our speakers, mashallah, jazakallah khair. Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum. That was really great.
Wa alaikum salam. Alhamdulillah, it was wonderful, mashallah.